Hello, everyone. Thanks for hopping on our webinar. We appreciate it. We're excited to be here with you today. I would love for you to pop into the chat and let us know where you're watching from. I am in Phoenix, Arizona. It is sunny and hot here. I'm not ready for summer quite yet.
And I'm in Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's beautiful, humid here. I have heard from some of our coworkers that it's just been so rainy.
Yeah, it has. Usually it's sunny in the mornings, but right after noon, it starts shadowing. So it starts raining and it gets really humid.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Kay from Grand Rapids, Edgar from West Hollywood. Oh, I bet the weather is beautiful there. Where else? Where are you guys joining from? Hop in the chat, let us know. Also, before we get started, if there's anything specifically that you're looking to learn from this webinar, feel free to throw that in the chat and we'll make sure that we address it specifically. And of course, as we're going through the webinar today, if you have any questions, just pop in the chat.
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Gosh, it must be late there. Thank you for joining. And we will be recording this webinar. I'll send it out to all of you guys afterwards. So if you want to rewatch it or share it with friends, you can go ahead and do so. Yes, midnight. Oh my goodness, I'd be sleeping. So while we want to give everybody a minute or two to hop on. So we're just going to have some small talk here. But as I was saying, if you have questions during the webinar, put them in the chat. I'm going to be trying to answer questions during the webinar, but if there's something that I don't know the answer to, we're going to have a few minutes for Q&A at the end where Dr. Daniela can answer any questions that you might have. But we're really excited to go through just everything that Implant Studio has to offer and the design services that are available to you guys. So Dr. Daniela, let's start off with a little bit on your background. How long have you been with Full Contour and what is your background with implantology?
Wow. So I've been here for a little over 5 years. It's been a while. We've designed tons and tons of cases. I'm a DDS and I have a degree in implantology. So I studied here in Costa Rica. I'm based in Costa Rica. And the degree in implantology, I got it at the University of Chile. So I went there for 3 years. And after that, I started working here at Full Contour, as I said before, over 5 years, 5.5 maybe right now. So it's been a while. Super excited for this opportunity. Every day is a challenge, even though we use the same software every day. Is a very interesting software, and every case is very different. So it's been very good.
I would say we have done tens of thousands of implant planning cases. Daniela's had her hands on most of them. So she is really an expert when it comes to Implant Studio. So that's why I'm so excited to have her here today, walking us through a live demo and talking about the workflows and file types that are needed. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So Daniela, if you will advance to the first slide here. Actually, you know what? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm also going to introduce myself, just so you guys are not like, who's this random person on the webinar? So my name is Michelle Shippey. I am VP of Business Development for Full Contour. So I help labs, manufacturers, dentists all over the globe implement digital workflows that are easy and seamless and can utilize our design services. So I'm here just to kind of talk a little bit about what Full Contour does, and then I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Daniela so she can share all this wonderful information with you guys. All right. So in case you don't know who Full Contour is, we are a design center. So all we do is design. We don't do any manufacturing of any physical products. And we are a 3Shape company. So a few years ago, 3Shape acquired Full Contour. And so now we're their design services team. And we have so many great integrations with different pieces of 3Shape software, such as Dental System, Trios, Unite. So we are a global company. We have support in multiple languages. We have 3 different design centers around the globe. So we're serving you from Costa Rica, China, and Ukraine. And we can serve you with online chat, phone calls, and email support. And then we offer a big range in different design products. So you're going to see 2 different sides here. On the left-hand side, we do human-based design for all sorts of different things. That can be crowns, guided surgery, splints, clear aligners, dentures, all NX hybrids. So these are all things that are designed by technicians at our design center. And then recently, about a year ago, actually, we launched 3Shape Automate, which is artificial intelligent design, which is like the coolest thing ever. We can do crowns and night guards in as quick as 5 minutes. It's fast, it's consistent, and it's infinitely scalable, meaning you could upload 5 crown cases or 5,000 crown cases and get them all back in 5 minutes. So if you want to know more about that, you can go to automate.3shape.com. But Full Contour is here to serve you with both solutions. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And now I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Daniela, and she's going to dive into everything about Implant Studio and our guided surgery design offering.
Thank you, Michelle. So let's start with the human part of the design. So this is what we're talking about right now. We are going to talk about Implant Studio and the advantages that we have within this software to provide implant restorations digitally, and therefore you can grow your business. So with this software, which is very user-friendly, we're able to plan the implant cases, design and produce surgical guides, and with the file submitted after the case is planned, you can provide the complete implant restoration package by importing these files into Dental Manager. And you can use these files that we import within Implant Studio to either design the custom abutments, temporary restorations, or after the osseointegration process, the final restoration. So it's very useful, very cost effective. And at the end of the day, the patient, what is looking for is for teeth. They want to see their teeth back. They want to smile with confidence. So this is what we can do to help them. Very, very straightforward. So let's talk about what we need to start a case. We have two types of patients. Of course, we have the partially edentulous patient and we have the fully edentulous patient. Within the partially edentulous patient, we will produce tooth and tissue-supported surgical guides or just tooth-supported surgical guides. So you'll require 2 files. The first one will be the surface scan or the IOS, and then the CBCT of the patient. Once you have those files, you will zip them up and then send those files to us with the information of the implant brand, the site or sites that will be replaced by implants, and if you want the case to be fully guided or pilot guided. Talking about the fully edentulous cases, there are 2 types of surgical guides. One will be the tissue-supported surgical guide, which will require the dual scan protocol. If you're not familiar with this protocol, basically we will have 2 separate CBCTs. The first one will be the CBCT of the denture or appliance. If you see over here on the lower right corner, this will be a transformation of the denture, which will be produced within Implant Studio. So basically, the denture of the patient will need to have radiopaque markers on it. We've found that it is better to place the shear marks instead of using gutta-perca, for instance, because otherwise there will be a lot of scatter that may interfere in the intaglio surface of the denture. So what we need is to scan the denture first with radiopaque markers. Usually we prefer around 4 or 5 markers equally distributed both on buccal and on the lingual and palatal surfaces of the denture. And the denture needs to be scanned over a styrofoam surface or a foam surface. Otherwise, if you use a different surface, there will be a scatter that will interfere again in the intaglio. And once the denture is scanned, you're going to place the denture in the patient's mouth and scan the patient with the denture with the markers. So both CBCTs will be merged in the software and we will be able to produce a surgical guide that will be, as you can see, a transformation of the denture. And the cool feature that we have right now in Implant Studio is a new feature, which are the bone-supported surgical guides. So instead of going through all this hassle of doing a dual scan protocol or scanning the patient, will require just the CBCT of the patient. This will work only for fully edentulous patients. It is important to notice that. And another thing that we've come across is that if a patient has existing implants or a few teeth that will need to be extracted, we would prefer to go either for the dual stem protocol or work as a partially edentulous patient, just to make sure that we will obtain a good bone surface model, which I will touch base a little bit in some slides ahead on this new feature that we have. But as you can see, it's very easy. The files will need to be zipped and dragged into our full contour platform. And when we receive that information, plus the brand of the implant, whether if it's fully guided or pilot guided, and the tooth or teeth that will be replaced by implants, will be ready to plan your case. And in a few moments, I will show you in the live demo what we will be doing in Implant Studio, which files you're going to receive, and some important information that we give to you guys. So what are the advantages of all of this, of Implant Studio, of guided surgery? First off, it is a user-friendly software. So I always say that if I was able to use this, then anyone is able to use this. So we found that we have a prosthetically driven implant plan. Very interesting over here because, as I said before, at the end of the day, the patient is looking for implants. They're not gonna see their implants. They're gonna see their teeth, and they want to smile again with confidence. So by using this software, which is very easy to use, is very predictable, the outcome that we will get, plus being prosthetically driven, will get a good result at the end of the day and a predictable outcome for our patients. We have the option to do virtual extractions, which is easy because, again, you'll have to just draw a spline around the tooth or teeth that will need to be extracted. And we have that advantage here in Implant Studio. We have the possibility to show generic abutments. There is a step in the workflow where we can place these generic abutments that will help us visualize if there will be the need of an angled abutment in the future, if by any chance there isn't any good bone resource, and instead of placing the implant prosthetically driven and we need to be or to place the implant following the bone resource, then we have the possibility of showing this generic abutments. We also have surgical reports and drilling protocols, which are submitted at the end once the case is completed. So both files will be in PDF formats. And it is important to notice that even though we have a very large implant library, we'll have 4 complete drill protocols available for 4 different brands. We'll have BioHorizons, Biomet 3i, Straumann, and Zimmer. These brands will give us a complete drill protocol. This means that the software that we'll have, the PDF that we'll have will show the drill sequence from start to finish, from the pilot drill to the final drill sequence. The other protocols will give you information, and it is good information, but they will give you a minimum drill length. So you'll have to be quite an experienced surgeon to proceed with this other branch. And then the creativity in the surgical guide design process. So what we're looking for is stability. We're looking for predictability, a good retention. And as I said to our planning doctors, basically use your creativity to make sure that the doctor at the end of the day on the other side of the screen is getting a good outcome, a good result, and the patient will be happy with everything, so that everyone will be happy, and we will or we can give a good outcome to our doctors and our patients. Now let's do something a little bit different over here. Instead of going slide by slide, I'm going to show you a live demo of a case that we have so we can see a little bit more about what we do in Implant Studio. So I'm going to close this over here, go to the software. So this will be the main page that we have here. Let me create a copy of this case. The one that I had was already approved. So we can check the case from start to finish. First, as I said before, will require the files, either if it's for a fully edentulous patient, the CVCT of the patient, or the dual scan protocol, or in this particular example, we're working on sites 29 and 30. So it will be a partially edentulous case. So we'll require just the CVCT of the patient and the surface scan. So as you can see over here, we have the upper and lower surface scans. We'll be creating a new patient and then a new case. In this particular example, we have the webinar. So we're going to jump over the workflow steps. The first one will be the implant restoration details. So what we're going to do is first, in this tooth selector, select the tooth or teeth that are going to be replaced by implants. So if we follow the instructions sent by you on the platform, this will be sites 29 and 30. So we're going to select these two sites. After we do that, we're going to go ahead and select crown. This selection will allow us to proceed with the virtual crowns, and which will make the case prosthetically driven. After that, we're going to go ahead and select tooth supported, the implant plan, and guide design. Once done, we're going to click on next and proceed with the import step. In this import step, we're going to go ahead and import the lower surface scan, upper surface scan, and the CVCT of the patient. After that, we have the option to do virtual extractions. In this particular case, we're not going to do that because we have the edentulous sites over here. But if we need to do so, we just go ahead and click on the plus icon and then start drawing a spline around the tooth that will need to be extracted. So as you can see, it's very easy. And we have the option to create a little socket if needed, as you can see. In this case, we're going to skip this part since we're not going to use it and move to the anatomy step. The first thing will be creating or placing the occlusal plane on the sides that we will be replacing by implants, and then proceed with the crown design. Now, in this crown design, it will be a generic crown design. We have different tools over here to make modifications to the crown, but we're going to go ahead and just place the virtual crowns over here, try to align them as much as possible in the edentulous space, following the adjacent teeth and the opposing arch as much as possible, as you can see right over here. And this is what creates the keys to be prosthetically driven. Of course, this will be a reference. However, the information that we have here can be imported into Dental Manager at the end so that we can have the coordinates of the implant and we can create a different order, but that will be for the crown and bridge department so that these virtual crowns can be utilized either to design custom abutments, to design temporary crowns, and at the end, after the osseointegration process, to design the final crowns. So once we're satisfied with the crowns, we're going to click on next. And then we're going to move to the setting step, the settings of the CVCT mainly. So it will take a little while, not much. I will be moving to the cropping step. So basically over here, what we need to do is crop the CVCT to the area that we're working with, because usually, as you can see over here on the right side, will be the head of the patient. But since we're working just in the mandible, we'll be cropping the area of interest, making sure that we have a valid volume region. And then we can move to the panoramic curve definition. So basically, this step is determined automatically by the software. However, we can make slight modifications over here. In this axial view, we can modify it by moving this yellow control points, but we need to make sure that we have this information over here. Taking into account that it cropped the CVCT, we're not seeing the entire maxilla. We're just looking at the mandible. So this is the area of interest. So once we're satisfied with this panoramic curve definition, we can move to the next step, which for me, it is the most important step since the guide is going to be designed over the surface scan. So basically what we have here is the alignment between the CVCT of the patient and the surface scan. So we have different options here. We have manual alignment with 3 points. So we can go ahead here and click on 3 dots that match both CVCT and surface scan. And we can go ahead and check the alignment. As you can see over here, we can do a manual alignment just by moving the surface scan, as you can see. And then we'll be confirming this alignment. We need to look for color green, which means that we have obtained a good alignment. If by any chance we have multiple restorations and therefore a lot of scatter, then we'll obtain other colors. So we have to double check the alignment by moving this cross plane over here. So as you can see, we can check that we have a correct alignment between the CACT and the surface scan represented by this brown outline. So we need to make sure that everything is correctly aligned to proceed with the confirmation. If we don't confirm this alignment, we cannot move to the following step. This is why it is so important that we need to make sure that this alignment is perfect, because over the surface scan is where the guide will be constructed. And as you know, in implantology, a millimeter means a lot. So once we confirm this, we can proceed with the nerve definition step. In this case, we have this step in the workflow added, the nerve definition step, because we're working on the mandible. If we were working on the upper arch, we wouldn't have this step added. So basically what we are going to do is draw the nerve. In this case, since we're working just on the right side of the patient, we'll have just the right mandibular nerve defined. So as you can see, we have defined the nerve. We need to make sure that we have a correct nerve definition. And if by any chance we have a very clear CVCT, we could either, or it will be preferable to retake the CVCT, or we can enlarge. We can see over here, if I click on the shift key and hold it, and then use the scroll wheel and move it up, you can see that it is being enlarged. Or I can reduce the diameter of it by moving the scroll wheel down. So if we enlarge it, if by any chance we don't have a clear view of the nerve, we can do so that we can avoid any potential inaccuracies in the nerve position if by any chance we're not able to retake the CACT. So as you can see, we have different options over here within Implant Studio. Very user-friendly, very straightforward. It's just moving from step to step. And as you can see, the graphics are very, very, very clear. Once we've defined the nerve, we can move to the following step, which is the implant planning step. So we have a vast library of implants within Implant Studio, as you can see over here. So basically, we will be selecting the implant brand that you want to use. Let's say that we are going for Nobel, and let's go for a Nobel Active. So we will be choosing from the implants that we have here, the one that best suits this site. So as you can see, we can go ahead and place it, and automatically the software will give us the sleeve from the Nobel family. However, we will have the option to change it if you want to any other sleeve that will be compatible with the implant brand that we will be selecting, as you can see over here. Say that we want to use Nobel and let's say Pilot. So as you can see, we change it over here. And then the implant is going to be positioned directly over the position the position of the virtual crown that we have placed. And we have the option to modify the angulation of the implant by moving this red control points, as you can see. We have the option to make the implant longer or shorter. And if you see, it turns red because it is colliding with the nerve. So we have this inner line representing the implant and this outer line representing a safety zone. So the custom safety zone that we have, or the generic safety zone is 2 millimeters on the apical and 1.5 millimeters on the radius. So if by any chance we have two implants adjacent to each other, then we'll have the 3 millimeters, which is the standard 3 millimeters that we need between implants, and 2 millimeters between any important structure. So that's why we have this information over here. So if we reduce the size of the implant, as you can see, 8.5, we'll have green all over. This means that we have a correct implant placement and we will be able to proceed with the plan. If by any chance we have something like this in which the implant is red, as you can see on the upper left corner, we are not able to proceed with the following steps of the plan as this implant is colliding with the nerve over here. So let's say that we want to change it again to Nobel and Nobel Active and 5x8.5. So as you can see, it turned green. This means that we can proceed. And again, for pilot. Always we'll be following the instructions, and we have a team of experienced doctors. We only use doctors to plan the cases. So that will give you a little bit of an extra confidence in the planning of the cases. And we're able to do one-on-one consultations if you want to. Over here, we have the panoramic view. We are able to modify the position of the implant as well, as you can see right here. If it turns red, this means that it is colliding with the nerve. So let's bring it up. We have the option to align the implants parallel by using this tool over here. So right now we have the two implants aligned parallel. As you can see, we have the angulation, the parallelism. We have this tool over here that will let you know the distance between the apex of the implant and the nerve. We have the option to modify the CT visibility over here. We have the option to place the generic abutments that I was telling you about in the beginning, as you can see. And we have the possibility to modify the angulation of them. We can place the antagonist. We can check the occlusion with the antagonist, as you can see right over here. So we can see the emergence of the implant based upon the antagonist as well. So there are plenty of options over here, screenshots that can be taken, and we can make comments that will show at the end of the surgical report, and that will show over here, as you can see. So very straightforward. The graphics are amazing, and we are here to help you as much as possible to plan your cases. So once we're satisfied with the implant position, we'll be moving to the surgical guide design. If you need to make any modifications in the implant placement, you can always go back, or in any other step in the workflow, you can always go back, as you can see right over here. Well, let's go to the following step, which will be the guide design. So under the guide design, we'll have different manufacturers. So this is something important as well, just to provide you the best experience possible. We'll be asking you which manufacturer do you have, if you have a printer in-house or if your printer is a third-party manufacturer. So we'll ask you which printer they're using or you're using so that we can have the correct settings over here and we can modify them. As you can see right here, we can modify the thickness. Let's say that we want to have a thick surgical guide. So we can make this modification so that we can provide you the best surgical guide design possible and the best outcome possible for you and for your patient. So what we'll be doing is just drawing a spline around the teeth. We need to make sure to have at least 2 teeth anterior and 2 teeth posterior of the support cylinders. In this case, since we just have 1 tooth over here posterior to the support cylinder, then we just drew 1 spline here, but we tried to have cross arch stabilization over to the side of the arch so that we can compensate to having just 1 tooth over here. We can design the guide to go over the gingival margin of the teeth or below or above the equator of the teeth. That will be just a preference. And if you have a particular one, you can let us know and we will work with that preference. We as well have the option to add orientation marks to the support cylinder, glue channels as well, as you can see right here. And if by any chance we need to make a modification on the sleeve, we can do so as well. So let's go and make both violet. Once the guide is being assembled, we will be moving to the bars and windows and ID tag. We have also the option to remove the windows over here just for visualization purposes, or as you can see, place the implants as well for that matter. So once the guide is assembled, so as you can see here, we have the orientation marks, the glue channel. We try to keep, on most of the cases, some space between the support cylinder and the gingival margin so that you can have additional room for irrigation, taking into account that we are working with longer drills, and over here in the occlusal surface, it's a little bit difficult to have a correct irrigation. So we usually tend to keep this space here. So once we have this information completed and the guide assembled, we will be moving to the bars and windows. So as you can see, we'll have windows to verify the correct seating of the surgical guide, bars to add stability to it. Let me move this over here so we can add additional bars around the support cylinders to give additional stability. If by any chance around the support cylinders we have additional material, we can create a little window over here so they can have easy access with the handpiece, as you can see right over here. This window is for that purpose, and this one as well over here. So that you can have easy access for the handpiece, especially for certain kind of implant brands that have additional tools that need to be inserted into the handpiece. So once this is assembled, we'll be moving to the ID tag step, which is just adding the name of the patient, which we usually tend to do so that we can personalize the surgical guide so that you can have an easy recognition of the surgical guide, especially if you're a busy doctor and you have a lot of surgical guides, then easy access, the name of your patient over here. Oh, that's the one. That's the one that I need. And with this windows, we can check that the guide is correctly seated, as you can see. So basically, this is what we will be doing. And on the video console that we send you, we'll be showing the virtual crowns that are being placed, the scan alignment. We'll pay special detail on the implant plan, of course, and then we'll be showing the surgical guide. After that, we'll be showing the surgical report, which is the first PDF that will be submitted or shown once we've completed the plan. So as you can see on the first page, we'll have the name of the patient. We'll have a small summary of the implant or implants that are being placed in the first couple of pages, and then the details for each site. The details over here on the implant brand, the size of the implant, the safety zone, axial, sagittal, mesiodistal views, and a bone density map as a reference, making sure that it is a reference taking into account the quality of the CVC tape. And this will be on each page for each implant that is being planned. And at the end of the report, if any comment is added, for instance, if you need to do a bone graft, post-extraction bone graft, sinus augmentation, crystal bone graft, any of that, or if by any chance we have a limited mesiodistal space and you requested a fully guided sleeve, but because of this mesiodistal space, we're not able to do so, then we had to proceed with a pilot. All that information will be at the end of the report, so everything could be thoroughly explained so that you can have a complete information. Once everything is ready over here, we can click on approve the plan and approve the surgical guide so that we can show the drill protocol and so that we can have the 30xe file and the STL of the surgical guide. So once the case is approved by you, either if we do a video consult or by approving the case on the platform, which I will show you a cool feature that we have over here, you will be receiving these two files, the surgical report, the drill protocol, and the STL of the guide, which will be ready to be printed. So let me go back to the presentation. So as you can see, it's very straightforward. This will be the information that we'll be receiving from you guys the CVCT of the patient, the surface scan. This will be for a partially edentulous patient. And we'll be doing this, as you can see, it's very easy, very straightforward. And we'll be explaining everything to you so that you can see what we are doing and what you will be doing to your patient once you receive the surgical guide. As well, we have the other cases that we work with. Tissue-supported surgical guides and bone-supported surgical guides for fully edentulous patients. So basically, we'll have a similar workflow. The difference will be on the files that we need, but everything is within Implant Studio. So if you recall, for the tissue-supported surgical guides, we'll be working for fully edentulous patients with the dual scan protocol. So the first difference is in the restoration details. Instead of choosing tooth supported, we're going to choose edentulous. And then we'll have two different files. The CVCT of the patient wearing the denture and the CVCT of the denture with the markers. So here we have the markers over here and over here. This will be the dual scan protocol. Once we've import those two files, we can proceed with the next steps of the workflow. So as you can see, it's very similar. The cropping steps. So we're going to crop the CVCT to the area of interest. And on the denture part, we are going to proceed with a denture segmentation. So basically over here, what we are doing is modifying the visualization of the denture and making sure that we have this image over here, which will be an exact replica of the denture of the patient. So if you receive this or you see this definitely is a no, taking into account that this denture is going to be transformed into the surgical guide. So we need this to be as perfect as possible, especially the intaglio. So once we complete this step, we move to the panoramic curve definition, same as the partially edentulous cases, and the alignment step. This alignment step is very similar to the partially edentulous cases, since what we are doing is just matching points from the CVCT of the patient to the CVCT of the denture. Very important over here, because we need to make sure that the denture is fully seated in the patient's mouth. And to make sure of this, you can go ahead when scanning the patient with the denture. And if the patient has an antagonist, whether if it's another denture or natural dentition, you can go ahead and place cotton rolls so that when the patient bites down, the denture will be completely seated, because we need this denture to be, number one, fully seated, and number two, completely aligning with the CVCT. I mean, those will be the CVCT of the patient with the denture aligned with the denture alone. Because after we confirm this alignment, we will be moving to the following steps of the workflow, which will be the implant placement, and then taking into account that this denture is going to be transformed into the surgical guide, we need this alignment to be as perfect as possible. And again, taking into account as well that the denture needs to be scanned over a styrofoam surface, again, because we need to have a good occlusal surface of the denture and an even better intaglio surface of it. So once we confirm this alignment, we'll be moving to the gingiva detection step, taking into account that these surgical guides are going to be tissue supported. The software will detect the intaglio of the denture as if it was the gingiva because of this matter. So that's why we need to make sure that the intaglio is perfect. After that, we'll be moving to the implant planning step. So again, we'll have a complete, the same library of implants, and we'll be following your instructions. Usually we go for 4 implants, but that will depend on how many implants you want. It will be an all on X case. And usually we try to follow your request on the sites. If by any chance we have a big sinus dematization, or we have a very, very narrow ridge, then we'll try to modify the position of the implants, of the sides of the implants, to make sure that you will obtain a good implant placement with a good primary stability. Usually we try to place the implants parallel, but if you want to proceed a different way, like for example, if you want to proceed with the polymer protocol, then we can do so as well. Just trying to make sure that we have a correct communication between you, the lab, and ourselves to have the best planning possible. We'll be following the denture of the patient if possible, and then we'll be placing fixation pins. So the implant planning step is very similar to the partially edentulous patients. We'll be selecting the implant brand based upon your request and then the size of the implant as well. If you want to proceed with letting us know the size of the implant, then we will do so as well. And after the implants are positioned, after the sleeves are selected, we're going to proceed with the anchor pin placement. We always place fixation pins for fully edentulous patients, and we try to obtain a tripod stabilization. A minimum of 3 fixation pins is what is required, and we try to place them over the buccal surface so that they can act as a mean of reflection of the lip, both from the upper and lower arches. And we try to use the same brand of anchor pin as the implants. If by any chance the brand that you are selecting doesn't have any anchor pins, then we'll choose a different brand, but that information will be provided as well. Also, we can take screenshots over here. We can make any modifications that you want. We'll add comments if needed, if a sinus augmentation is needed, if a bone graft is required. So everything will be provided. Every information will be given out to you. And at the end, this is what we will be reducing: the transformation of the denture into the surgical guide. So that's why it is very important to obtain a good denture scan. So we'll have the cylinders for the implants, the cylinders for the anchor pins, and the integrity of the intact biosurface, as you can see over here. Once everything is ready, you'll get the same files: the PDF of the surgical report, the PDF of the drill protocol, the 3RX file. You'll get a DCM file with the implant coordinates. So if by any chance you need to create a provisional, you'll have the coordinates as well, and the STL of the surgical guide. Moving to the bone supported surgical guides, which is our new feature. I'm very excited about this. We'll have a similar protocol as the fully edentulous patients, but with the tissue supported surgical guides. The main difference will be 2 main differences, or 3, let's say. The first one over here, instead of selecting the dual scan protocol, we'll be selecting bone supported. So instead of going to the dual scan protocol, scanning the patient with the denture, scanning the denture alone, we'll just need the scan of the patient, the CBCT. In this particular example, we had the patient scan with radio peak markers, but this is just because of the example that we have here for the webinar. Once we've imported the CBCT of the patient and following the steps of cropping the CBCT to the area of interest, creating the panoramic curve, and if we're working on the mandible, defining the nerve, we'll be moving to the bone surface model. So basically over here, we'll be creating a model where the surgical guide is going to be designed. It will be an exact replica of the bone anatomy, as you can see over here. So we have these 2 thresholds. Sometimes we need to modify them so that we can have an exact replica, as you can see over here on this lower right images, to make sure that everything is as perfect as possible. And again, if we don't confirm the quality of the bone surface model, we are not able to proceed with the following steps of the workflow. So it is extremely important to make sure that we have a correct bone surface model. As I said at the beginning, if we have a patient with existing implants and that implant has a healing abutment, or if the patient has a couple of teeth that will need to be extracted, we would suggest you to proceed instead of the bone surface, bone supported surgical guides, to proceed with either a partially edentulous case with the surface scan and CBCT, or with the tissue supported surgical guides. We found that those are more accurate if by any chance the patient has existing implants or a couple of teeth that will need to be extracted, instead of having an example like this where the patient is completely edentulous and there is like a virgin bone over here. At the end, we'll be designing the surgical guide, which is the third difference that we will have in the bone supported surgical guides over the bone surface model. So after the implants are positioned, after the anchor pins are positioned, which is very important as well, we'll be placing a minimum of 3 fixation pins. We'll be designing the surgical guide. So basically what we'll be doing is doing like a horseshoe shaped design. If you can see over here, both on the upper and lower arches, making sure that we have enough space for the nasopalatal nerve. And the software on the lower arch will give us a measurement from the mental framing up to the margin of the surgical guide so that we can have a minimum of 2 millimeters. Otherwise, we won't be able to complete the plan, so that we can have enough distance between the edge of the surgical guide and the nerve to avoid any exaggerate retraction of the flap and therefore the nerve as well. We try to make sure that we have a good stabilization, a good a good stability, a good retention of the guide, and most importantly, to have a good flap reflection, taking into account that over here we're not seeing everything. We don't have blood, we don't have tissue. We try to make sure that everything is as perfect as possible for you. So as you can see, those are the 3 types of implants. Of plans that we can offer you. As you can see, they are very, very informative. We'll provide you a lot of information, not only from the video consults that we will be sending you, but you will also receive the screenshots, the PDFs of the surgical report, of the drill protocol, and the STL of the surgical guide. And most importantly, this new feature, the bone supported surgical guides, which will be a good solution for fully edentulous patients. And when a patient doesn't have a denture and you don't have enough time to do the denture, you just send us the CVCT of the patient, and then we'll proceed with this bone supported surgical guides. So as I mentioned before, we need to create the bone surface model, which will be an outline of the bone so that the guide can be easily designed. We need this to be shown or designed as perfectly as possible so that the guide can be produced as perfectly as possible. And as you can see over here, the end result of the surgical guide. So how you're going to review everything. So let's say that you send us a case, we send you the information back. I mean, we planned everything over here based upon your requests. And now, how do you review everything? Because you're not going to be here with us planning the case. You're not going to see us planning the case after you send it over. So once we complete the plan, once we've uploaded the files, the PDF of the surgical report, the drill protocol, the screenshots, the video consult, in the platform, you're going to see this. I'm going to play a little video over here. So you'll see the needs approval tab. You're going to go ahead and click on review on the desired case. And you're going to see the video consult that I was telling you about, which is a small summary of the plan that we did. So our planning doctors will be sharing this with you, as well as the screenshots of the case. You can open them on a new tab so that you can check them in an enlarged version, the STL files, which will be like a preview of the surfaces then. Of the surgical guide. And then the PDF of the surgical report. Once the case is approved, you will be receiving the PDF of the drilling protocol. So as you can see over here, we'll have the information. You can either approve a manufacturer if everything is okay with you, or you can send us a redesign back. So if you need to make a slight modification, like just a small modification of the case or a big modification of the case, you just type down what you need, then we will receive a notification on that and make the corresponding changes. You will be receiving a new video consult and new images of that change. So as you can see, very easy, super informative what we have. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to our customer support team. We have specialists that know everything that's going on and have direct communication with us so that you can, if you have any questions, you are free to contact them as well. Let me go over here. So let's say that you have reviewed a case, but now you want to approve it, and then you want to download the PDF of the report, the PDF of the drill protocol, and most importantly, the STL of the surgical guide ready to be printed. Let me play another video over here. So it needs approval. You're going to click on the case that you need to review. So this will be a quick preview of the video. So as you can see, it is a video from start to finish. We'll be showing you every detail of the case. Plus, you will be receiving the screenshots and the PDF files. So let's say that you are okay with the plan. Once you review the quality control images, if you need to make them bigger, you can do so. You will be reviewing as well the STL files of the guide, making sure that you have the correct information. The surgical report, making sure you have the correct information, as you can see, is very clear. You'll go ahead and click on that box over there that says that you have reviewed the information and click Approve and Manufacture. So the case will be moved to Ready for Download. You're going to click under the case, and then the STL of the guide will be ready or available for download, as you can see. And also the finished scans will be available for download. So once you receive that information, the guide will be ready to be printed and the surgery to be done. So as you can see, you have everything in your hand. This will be in a computer, but if you are in a hurry, and I know that everyone is in a hurry nowadays, we have this great opportunity. It's a cool app that we have. So instead of using a computer, you can use the doctor's approval app, which is the same, but on your phone. So you have everything on your hand. So you'll receive an email with the link. You have the option to check the video summary on your phone, as you can see over there. Screenshots, the files, everything. So if you need to make a redesign of a case, if you don't want the length of the implant, let's say, and you wanted to make it longer, so you can go ahead and type that you need a modification. Then we'll receive the redesign, and then after that, we'll be recording a new video consult, sending you new information, so you can go ahead and review it right away on your phone as well. So as you can see, everything is on your hands. There you go. They're changing the size of the implant or the implant brand in this example. Very straightforward. Or if by any chance you need to go ahead and approve it right away, you'll sign it off, and then the case will be ready to be downloaded. As easy as that. Don't you think? Go to the next slide. So if by any chance you need some training on Implant Studio, and this doesn't mean that we won't be able to help you, but because we're more than happy to assist you with any case that you send us our way. But if you want some other training in Implant Studio, you can contact Academy North America. So you have here their email, their phone number, or you can schedule a call with them or a training, a one-on-one training. But as I said before, we can go ahead and provide you with all the information that you need. And if you want to send us the cases to be planned, we'll be more than happy to do so. But again, you have this information over here. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions or if you want to learn a little bit more about Implant Studio, you can scan this QR code over here, or you can send me an email or call me. I have my phone here, my email over there as well.
Daniela, we do have some questions. And before people start jumping off too, why don't we go to the next slide? We wanted to make sure to offer everybody on this webinar one free case to try us out. So if you're just curious about outsourcing guided surgery design, we'd love for you to give us a try. So if you just scan that QR code, that'll lead you to a place where you can request your one free design, as well as contacting Dr. Daniela as well. So we do have some questions here. So Daniela, what's the meaning of bone surface model?
Okay, so it will be an outline of the bone that shows in the CACT. So basically, it will be a digital model of the bone where the guide is going to be designed.
Awesome. And then Kay asked, when the CBCT has to be retaken, how do we ask the staff to adjust?
There will be some settings that the manufacturer of the machine needs to let you know, because every machine is very different. So we're not able to let you know exactly what you need. However, we have a PDF with the DICOM conformance statement that we usually tend to provide customers so that the settings of the machine can be established based upon what Implant Studio requires.
Perfect. David had asked us, do we have the DO implants system in Implant Studio?
Let me check. Because there are a lot of implant brands, so I will get that to you.
Okay, I don't know if it's DIO or DO. I don't know how to say that. Sorry, David. And then let's see here. Edgar had said, are we using an older version of Implant Studio because he thought he saw a newer version in the Unite app? Do you know?
I don't know, but you know what? I got a text from Phil Brisbois, and he was telling me that this was an older version, so I'll have to check that out.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know. We'll look into upgrading. We always love the newest, best features by 3Shape.
Yeah.
Any other questions? These are great, you guys. So as I had mentioned, this is recorded. We'll go ahead and send it out to everybody. So that way, if you wanted to share it with a coworker, business partner, rewatch it, you can do so. Thank you guys. Oh, wait. Sorry, one more. I'm facing a problem with 3D CBCT cropping and changing resolution due to artifacts. I don't know if you have any advice there.
The artifact issue is an issue. And honestly, we haven't gotten a solution to modify the CBCT visualization when there are a lot of artifacts, unfortunately.
So does that mean they just need to take a new CBCT scan?
Usually, yes.
Okay. Any other last minute questions? Daniela, maybe go back to, sorry, another question. Love it. Keep sending them our way. But Daniela, maybe go back a slide just so your contact information is there so that people have a chance to write that down if they want to contact you. Sure. I think he's typing his question. Daniela, great job. So much information.
Thank you.
I always love listening to you lecture. All right. He said, facing a problem with sleeve adaptation after printing.
What kind of issues?
Walid, what I can do as well is I can grab your email from the registration list and just shoot you an email with Dr. Daniela in there. And then you guys can have a conversation about some of the issues that you're facing and if she has any suggestions.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining and staying on with us. We appreciate your time and we look forward to working with you soon. Let's go out and change dentistry together.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day or night, wherever
Yes.
you are.